This is the last video in a series on properties of Annona muricata or soursop fruit, and the fruit that and the species that you see here in this video, which is gifted to us. It is growing in our area very well, and that is how I was encouraged to proceed with this series of videos, because the fruit was available for detailed studies. And you can see the fruit is colonized by the ants, red weaver ants, and I have mentioned this in my other videos on my YouTube channel, which you can view on this species, how the red weaver ants are colonizing these trees in Goa, India, and they also envelop these fruits in what is known as ant silk, and probably they are trying to reach the pulp. So we have seen that it is a traditional medicine in world for diarrhea, dysentery treatment, fever, pain, respiratory, skin disease, hypertension, diabetes, cancer. People all over the world have been using decoctions of bark, root, seed, leaf, and there are studies in vitro and in vivo done on this. More than 200 phytochemicals they have studied, and they have shown pharmacological activities such as antimicrobial, antiprotozoan, antioxidant, insecticide, larvicide, selective cytotoxicity to tumoral cells, anxiolytic, anti-stress, anti-ulceric, wound healing, anti-icteric, hypoprotective and hypoglycemic. And continuously new phytochemicals are being identified in soursop. They also studied mechanism of actions. Cytotoxicity implied disruption of mitochondrial membrane to arrest cells and induction of apoptosis, inhibition of multiple signaling pathways that regulate metabolism, induction of metastasis and necrosis of cancer cells. They have also found the mechanism of action of antioxidant activity by hydrogen donation. They found antimicrobial action is because of some phytochemicals having the ability to bind with DNA and inhibiting RNA synthesis, and by glycosidase inhibition lacking cytoplasmic membrane function. They studied mechanism of action of antinociseption by inhibition of cyclooxygenase and lipoxygenase enzymes and other inflammatory mediators. They investigated hypotensive mechanism, and they thought that it is through blockage of calcium ion channels. But unfortunately, the mechanism of action of other bioactivities such as anxiolytic, anti-stress, hypoglycemic activities, we do not have a full mechanism elucidated as such. Finally, it is not that the fruit is beneficial in every respect, or the species various organs like tree, bark and roots and all leaves. There are also neurotoxic acetogenins. Neurotoxicity is established in vitro and in vivo studies, but still it has not been quantified how much of the amount of neurotoxic compounds a human can get exposed. Also, a lot of metabolic and digestive studies are required for understanding bioactivity and neurotoxicity of these active compounds. In short, to sum up this big video series, the whole idea is that this is a tropical fruit which is imported in other countries in the world from Mexico, and then it has reached now nook and corner of the world. I believe that almost all countries are cultivating this soursop tree, which is known as Mamford, because already we have different species of Annona in India, especially Goa, where the colonial Portuguese regime had introduced more than 300 different types of exotic species from different countries in the world due to maritime trade and commerce in post-Columbian exchange, we call it, and post-Vasco da Gama exchange of intercontinental germplasm. So that is the reason why we have this soursop coming to shore of Goa and cultivated here in many gardens, and people think that it is a wonder fruit. But as a biochemist, I can see that it has a huge potential in further research using chemoinformatics and bioinformatics tools and techniques, and even artificial intelligence, that we can establish structure-activity relationship of acetogenins and many other compounds which have been found in this Annona muricata. And then this fruit itself, I believe, is the what I have studied, I could see that it doesn't look to be a beautiful fruit. It looks ugly with lot of spines, spicules on its surface, and nobody will believe that this fruit has evolved in nature as a pharmacy of nature, and more than 200 phytochemicals have been thoroughly investigated. Many were new to science, and scientists were also quite stunned by their chemical structures and their properties and bioactivities. Therefore, the focus on the series is basically to show that if we focus on one single neotropical plant species and investigate it in detail, there is a lot of potential in the future for getting safe drugs for the entire humanity. Especially, we need to focus on antiviral natural phytochemicals which we could access from fruits like this, and I believe in future antiviral research will take place on Annona, muricata, and with this I end up this series, which is perhaps the only first such series in the world on a neotropical fruit like Annona species, Annona muricata, and it is dedicated to all the scientists and researchers who have surveyed, done research papers, and are still continuing in vitro, in vivo, and clinical research. And there is a lot of attention which in India the biochemist, immunologist, molecular biologist, phytochemist, organic chemist, pharmacologist will have to pay to this fruit and its the library of compounds which are naturally available, so that we can screen these compounds using different types of screens and cell lines, and find out beneficial activities, and discover new drugs and medicines, and it will benefit the whole humanity. So continue to watch this series and subscribe to my channel, and spread the word around that here is the complete knowledge available on this fruit on a single YouTube channel.